don't just look at an issue because it's an issue. Kind of look really deep into what the issue is and what it's caused by. Find something that no one else can see. If you can see that something's broken, then probably someone else can. You've got to be different by looking into it deeply enough to find out what the true cause of the issue is and how you can help it. Like, if your car's broken, everyone can see that your car's broken, but only a mechanic's going to go and fix it because they know what they're doing. They know deeply, what's wrong with this car. You're your own person. You've got your own skills. You know what you're good at. So use that to your advantage to find something that no one else can find.
So you're a smart business committed to innovation, to service and to modern marketing. And you're asking, what's next? Wondering how you can become even more innovative. My name is Jürgen Strauss from InnovaBuzz, and this is the InnovaBuzz podcast, where we share all kinds of tips, advice and interview guests on all things innovation and leadership in modern marketing. Hi innovators, it's great to be back with another episode. I hope you've had an awesome week so far. I'm really excited today to have on the InnovaBuzz podcast as my guest, Kieran McKeefery, who is the Chief Technology Officer and co-founder at Rebel Base Media. Rebel Base Media creates technology and solutions for podcasters. They are the creators of podcast websites, of Captivate Audio, Productivity, and the Podcast Success Academy. Their business is all about serving podcasters. So, of course, I'm really keen to learn more from Kieran in this episode. Today's episode is brought to you by the Transformational Marketing Hub, where you'll find a host of free and exceptionally useful information to help you transform your marketing. You can access the Transformational Marketing Hub by visiting innovabizz.co/VIP. If you don't yet have an account, why not? Seriously though, click the blue Take a Peek Inside button and check it out, see whether it's for you. As I said, it's free and exceptionally useful, and especially for you, my podcast audience. In our discussion today, Kieran talked to me about how Rebel Base Media and its suite of products developed from a need for podcasters to have more support. He talked about identifying the real needs behind an issue or problem and how digging deeper can lead to innovative products. And he talked about creating intrigue and curiosity around a new product by keeping secrets. And we're going to keep that secret as well, but you will find out more in the episode itself, in the interview. So without further ado, let's fly into the hive and get the buzz from Kieran McKeefery. Hi, I'm your host, Jürgen Strauss from InnovaBuzz, and I'm really excited to welcome to the InnovaBuzz podcast today from Sheffield in the United Kingdom, Kieran McKeefery, who is the Chief Technology Officer and also co-founder at Rebel Base Media. Rebel Base Media creates technology and solutions for podcasters. Welcome to the InnovaBuzz podcast, Kieran. It's a privilege to have you as a guest.
Thank you very much. It's great to be on, and thank you for pronouncing my name right as well. I think you're probably the first person in history to pronounce both my first name and my last name correctly.
All right.
So thank you. I mean, at one point, before I got married, my now wife, her family didn't know how to spell my name, so they just put to Lucy +1.
Okay.
So that's great. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a good start then. Anyway, Mark Asquith, who was on episode 137 of the InnovaBuzz podcast, suggested we speak with you, Kieran. So a big hello to Mark.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mark, as always.
Yeah. Now, Rebel Base Media are the creators of podcast websites, one of your services. You also have Captivate Audio, Productivity, and the Podcast Success Academy, which I've delved into. That's really awesome. And I know that podcast websites is a great service as well. I don't know much about Captivate Audio and Productivity. They're fairly new. So it is a business all about serving podcasters. So obviously I'm really keen to learn more from Kieran. But Before we start talking about all things podcasting, let's find out a little bit more about your background. How did you get to where you are today, and what were some of the pivotal moments in that journey?
I mean, I've always been someone that likes to take stuff apart and play around with stuff. You know, when it comes to learning, I've never liked reading a book or like looking at a screen. I've always liked actually doing something physically. So, you know, since I was like 5-year-old when I got a bike, my parents came home and, you know, they were so cross with me because I took the bike to pieces. Yeah. I wanted to know how it worked. And that's always been the same way. And that it's actually how I learned to become a developer and get the mindset of trial and error as such when it comes to building something. So when I was about 13, one of my friends was playing an online role-playing game online. And I thought to myself, that looks really fun. I wonder what it takes to make one of those. So I sat down, I had a think, and I just literally looked online, tried to find whatever I could, any copies of code, anything that was remotely like that to pull it apart, work out how it was made. And I built an online role-playing game. So when I was about 13, 14, I built this role-playing game. Oh. You know, just from the interest of wanting to know how it works. And it was really successful. You know, I was top lad at the school. Everyone wanted to get kind of like credits, in-game credits. So this was back when, you know, pay and play was still a thing. You know, where you could buy credits for a game inside. It's actually one of the first types of games that had that capability. So yeah, it just started from there really. I then went on for half a year at college, but then I realised college wasn't for me. It was kind of just a bit outside of where I wanted to be at. And then I just went into development. I worked in an agency, met Mark, and then obviously podcast websites first came about, and then obviously that's developed further and further, and now it's, you know, Rebel-based media.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So I was always taking things apart when I was a young kid, but that was well before the technology era, and I used to pull apart electronic gadgets and mechanical gadgets, but I never was any good at putting them back together again. I always just dumped the parts on my dad's desk and got into trouble. Yeah,
I can't remember many of the times when I successfully put it back together, to be fair. But I'm sure there was one or two.
Yeah. Well, the computer space is a really good place for sort of taking bits and pieces of things and then putting them together, and you can't really do much wrong. It either works or it doesn't, right?
I mean, I was from quite a poor family, so I had, you know, a very basic computer when I was younger. You know, it was almost something that you could have been thrown in the bin. But, you know, due to the online role-playing game that I made at 13, 14, I was actually making money at that point. So at that point, I could have the money to upgrade my systems. So that's when I used to go to a local place to me, a place called Copycats. I used to go there, get a new graphics card or a new hard drive, you know, some more RAM. I would always upgrade the computer. So it's also that kind of stuff. I mean, I wouldn't dare look inside a computer now and play around with it. So I don't think I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's from a young age, I've always loved doing it.
Yeah, that's fascinating because you kind of learnt there very quickly that you can earn some money by building a program, and then you invested back in the tools that you used to build the program. So it's kind of, you know, a business lesson there, isn't it?
You know, yeah. Now, if you look at it that way, yes. But as I looked at it, I wanted an upgraded computer so I could probably play the latest version like Counter-Strike or a game. But I always enjoyed doing it. And I think the minute that you start earning money for anything like that, your motivation is suddenly increased and you're like, wow, this is real life. I remember going to school and my form tutor at the time found out how much money I was making online, you know, from a very young age, from like 13 up to 16. And she was just shocked. You know, I think we were talking close to around about £1,000 per month at one point. So £1,000, you know, British pounds.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's just kind of what motivated me to learn more.
All right. So what is it you do today then in a nutshell, and why?
All right, so I'm Chief Technology Officer here at Rebel-based media. What that means, I handle the development team, so I make sure everything's built to plan. I look at the overall plan for development, so If something needs to be built tomorrow or next week, I also do get my hands stuck quite well into the development side. So I've been doing a lot of work on the Captivate FM platform. So on that, we've been doing obviously a few of the cool bits. I can't delve too much into what I'm building because it's still tightly wrapped. Because Captivate is actually one of the world's first growth-oriented podcast media hosts. So it's been building stuff for that as well. But yeah, that's pretty much sums me up, really. I'm just an all-round developer, and I look after the team of developers.
Mm-hmm. So how big's the team of developers that you have?
So we've got 3 other developers, and I think we're looking for a 4th as well.
And they're based all around the world, aren't they?
Yeah, we love the ethos of remote working. It's a great methodology. I think you always get you should never. It's good to have someone internally, but you should never ever just set your sights for someone local, because there's so many good developers out there around the world, and it's never good to just chalk them off.
Mm-hmm. And how do you manage the remote team in the various locations?
So we use Slack, which is probably one of the best tools I've ever used ever. I think that's the number one go-to tool in any business at the minute, especially if you've got remote workers.
It is great, isn't it?
It is great. Yeah, I mean, they've even got screen sharing stuff in there now and call stuff, so you can actually physically call someone on there if you can't get something over via the text format. So yeah, it's simply Slack. We pipe everything through Slack as well. We've built quite a few tools, so stuff like support, which as a podcast websites member you get 24/7 support. So that's technical, podcast support, anything that you need help with. That's where podcast websites comes in. So the support is actually piped directly into Slack as well, so everyone can see it. It goes straight into Slack and the responses, and you can build on it. Any questions, you can all work as a team on something. So honestly, it's one of the best tools we've used today.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about having a remote team spread around the globe is using the time zones. You mentioned 24/7 support, and that obviously makes it much easier to do 24/7 support if you've got people in all the different time zones.
Yeah, it actually works perfect. I mean, from the people where we've got working, we've actually got coverage fully 24/7. Even around Christmas time. Christmas time's just been and gone, but we've always had support staff on at Christmas. Obviously, it's going to be a bit of a skeleton team, but the support still ran 24/7 over Christmas as well.
Yeah, because podcasters don't sleep over Christmas, do they?
No, that's usually when they want the most amount of work done. Because obviously, I mean, it's like anything. If you've got spare time, you're going to want to use it. January is usually a big one as well. People want to make changes in January. Obviously, we're new year, new me, which is great.
So what are some of the changes that happen with businesses that engage you and your company?
Sorry?
What are the changes that happen for a business when they work with you, when they engage you?
So usually, so if someone was to come to us, Captivate podcast websites, productivity, our whole ethos is just to help podcasters, build influence, find and amplify the unique voice. So it's kind of a case of how we can help them. Mm-hmm. So a perfect example would be a good friend of ours, one of our members, Jeff Bradbury. So Jeff, who will probably listen to this, he's a really lovely guy. He's the official Microsoft podcaster, and he came to us I think about a year ago now, just over a year, and he wanted a site redesign. So his site was in it was fine, it was okay, but he just wanted that extra bit of finesse. He wanted it to look and make people happy. He wanted it just to break down so people can go and find what they want easily. So we did a complete overhaul on that. We completely overhauled the branding. It was a complete full solution. And Jeff's super happy now. He will shout from the rooftops about podcast websites and the team, Rebel Base Media. So no, it's kind of a case that it's more about how we can help you as opposed to what we can do for you.
Mm. Okay. So podcast websites is a complete solution for podcasters. So it includes the website, includes the hosting of the podcast, includes analytics, as I understand it. And also you have the Podcast Success Academy, which is a teaching platform, right?
Yeah, that's right. So the Podcast Success Academy, funny enough, is actually free. So anyone that is listening, it's a completely free to use academy. We teach you the things that no one else tells you that you need to know, and how to become a successful podcaster. So it's certainly worth having a look in there.
Yeah.
We've also launched something quite recent as well, which is the Podcast Design Studio. Mm-hmm. So the Podcast Design Studio is designed specific for podcasters. So if you was a podcaster, you could come to the design studio. There's online forms. You can go in, have a look, fill it in, and you can actually order something like a cover art that's been designed by professional designers that have done this day in, day out. That will give you something, excellent, much better than something that you get from like a Fiverr or, just a generic person online.
Yeah, so it sounds like a lot of these initiatives like Captivate FM, Podcast Design Studio, and Productivity, I'm not sure about, are spin-offs from the total service.
Yeah, so I think that was the idea. So podcast websites, when we first came up with the idea, Mark came to me and he said, look, I've got an idea for something. I'm looking for a developer. Do you want in? We'll do this. I've got, it's a really good idea. I sat down, had to think about it, and I thought, yeah, let's go for it. It sounds super good. Mark's been in podcasting for a while. Has run an agency for a long time. He knows what he's doing. So I just, jumped on with that. And then it just kind of split off. We've got Captivate, which is kind of like an offshoot for the media hosting that we had, but much, much better, completely new infrastructure, bigger changes. It's just a total all-in-one solution for media hosting. The Academy came about as a kind of like a tool to help people. We just want to help people. Our whole ethos for the company is just to make successful podcasters. We just want to do that. We're just people that love podcasting, especially Mark's. We've got another guy on the team who's got 3-4 podcasts, who has done it since he worked in the radio. We just love podcasters. So that's where we came up with the idea, just to spin stuff off.
Yeah.
Like the design studio. Productivity is a bit different. That's not been spun from anything we've already done. That was an idea that Mark had a while ago that we've kind of developed and built upon.
So I really like the Podcast Success Academy model, which is, like you said, it's basically free to join, and there's lots of free information there. And then there's certain information that is premium, so you pay for an upgrade to that premium information. But certainly it's anybody that's in podcasting, it's well worth a look because the free information is awesome. So I'll be totally honest, I haven't paid for anything there yet, but I have looked at a lot of your free information. I love it.
I think that's the beauty of it, though, isn't it? That there's that much content you don't need to upgrade. If you can get the right amount of stuff without upgrading, we're all frugal. I wouldn't sign it if I had an online course or something that's free and I could just go through it. And I haven't got to sign up for the second tier, then I'm not going to. That's just the amount of value that's in the free tier. But obviously, the stuff that's in the paid tier is obviously going to be 10 times better. Yeah.
I imagine it would be, and I think the model is great though, because there's so much stuff around that. There's a little bit of marketing information available for it, but you don't really get a flavor for it, and you have to commit. And sometimes the commitment is pretty significant in terms of dollar investment up front, and you don't really know what you're getting. So with your model, and I've got a membership system that is pretty much similar to that, where there's a lot of free material, and then there's better material or more substantial material that people have to pay for, but they get to see what's there. They get a flavor for it. They get to make a judgment. Is this for me? Do these guys know what they're talking about? And, then when you come to the purchase decision, you're making a very informed decision, and you're unlikely to regret having made it.
Yeah, exactly. And, I think the Academy has only ever issued one refund anyway. And that was someone that just didn't quite understand it. which is fine. You know,
Yeah.
that's just like the type of business. Well, I'd rather refund someone that doesn't know, probably isn't ready to podcast yet. Not really not ready. I mean, the Academy is great if you want to get ready, but someone that's like not going to podcast within the next few years, that's probably. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah. So, what can you tell us about Captivate Audio then?
So, we're using the same style of infrastructure, the same type of infrastructure, the same CDN as any other podcast media host out there. There's no infrastructure changes. Media hosts are all the same. You can't do it any differently. That's what I like to say. But the thing that we're doing differently is we're going to be a bit more growth orientated. That's going to be solely what we concentrate on. And I don't want to give you too much away because obviously we're saving it all for launch. But it is going to be exciting for podcasters, just as exciting as what productivity is going to be for podcasters and listeners.
All right. Well, what can you tell us about productivity then?
Productivity is an interaction-based platform. So it's going to standardize audience interaction across the entire podcasting industry. And again, I can't really say too much about that. But, the patent has gone in, which is the important thing for that one. It's more of a... I mean, I can probably delve a bit more into it. So it's more about acting, your listener being able to act instantly to get whatever it is that you're asking them to get. So something instantly, within a tap. So that's good for sponsors, podcasters, listeners. The main thing of any system like this is making sure that the listener has some sort of incentive to do it. Why would they want to do it?
Yeah.
We just want to make it simpler for you to give actionable information or give something back to your listeners.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the challenges of podcasters is getting that interaction and developing, giving people a really strong reason to interact, like comment on the website or, the traditional way, of course, is download some resource that's useful for them. But
yeah, I mean, perfect example of that is over a pre-roll sponsor. If you've got a pre-roll which is for Jeff Spins, and you're saying, look, there's Jeff Spins have got an offer out now. Discount code is X. If you hit the productivity action now, you'll get that direct to your inbox. So it's just making them act instantly. So it will increase the time it takes it will decrease the time it takes for them to do something, which gets them straight there. Mark's got a favorite saying, which is, say for example on a sales call, it's best to strike when the iron is hot. If you can do that straight away, you send them an email as soon as you've had a sales call saying, by the way, this is all the information I've just spoke about, etc., etc., etc. Do you want to sign up? Or here's a link to sign up. If you strike while the iron's hot, you're going to increase those sales. So it's a similar concept to how it will work. If you can give them the actionable information without having to get them to go to a website. If you say to them, go to www.productivitiesthistat.com/this.
That's right.
What's the chances they're going to do that? It's just making it easier for people. That's the whole ethos as well. We want to make successful podcasters and we want to make it easier.
Mm-hmm. And one of the challenges is, like we were talking before we started the interview, that most people are listening to podcasts while they're doing other things like driving a car. So, trying to remember a URL and then when they get back to a computer, which, 1,000 things might have happened in the meantime. So they've forgotten the URL. In fact, they've probably forgotten what it was they wanted to do anyway.
Exactly. I mean, we can. The beauty of what we're doing as well is we're working really closely with all the third parties, to integrate whatever we can into this system. So, membership platforms. We've just spoke about membership platforms. Imagine the option to speak to one of your listeners and say, look, by the way, I've got an offer on my membership. Anyone that's listening right now at this time, if you hit the productivity button, you tap that button, you will get signed up to my membership platform at the discounted rate, and it handles everything on there. So it can be used in so many different ways. Merchandise, say you've got hats for your show and you want someone to buy a hat, all you need to do is hit that productivity button, and that's it. You can buy that hat.
Yeah, I can see so many applications for that. In fact, I'm sort of writing down some ideas myself. It's a good thing I've signed up for pre-registering my interest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, the good thing is with the pre-registering of the interest, just jump on that, is that it is going to be first come, first served. Literally, if you're in the queue and you're number one, you're getting it first. It is going to be a steady rollout. So, the higher up you're on that list, the closer you're going to get to getting it. And, we're really happy for it. I think, myself and Mark, we've spent a long time on this. We spent a long time with the patent side of it, getting it ready so we can at least announce it and tell people what it is. I mean, bearing in mind, this was due to announce at Podcast Movement. So we had all the merchandise, we had all the backdrops, we had everything, but the patent didn't come through then.
Yeah.
At least the patent didn't get done by then. So we couldn't announce anything. So it was such a secret little reveal, which was great, actually. It works so well, not telling people what it is. Like, you imagine a massive conference booth, so 2-width booth, people coming up, what's productivity? Sorry, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
Yeah, it's a bit of a two-edged sword, though, isn't it? But yeah, I can see.
People were confused, intrigued. Yeah. I mean, if someone came up and said, "I'm not that bothered," then fair enough. It is what it is. But people was talking about us at the conference. We heard people whispering. Have you heard about those guys that have came to a podcast, sponsored a few booths, and aren't telling people what it's for?
Yeah.
That's the kind of feedback that you want, and the little bit of rumors that go around.
That's right. Well, got people talking about you. I certainly, when I came across it online and through, I guess I was on various lists of yours, but I had a look at it and I thought, oh, this is interesting. And then I went back for a couple of weeks trying to see when there'd be more information. So, yeah, it had that effect on me as well.
Excellent.
All right. So what are some of the challenges that kind of keep you awake at night?
I think it's just, I like working. I know that sounds weird. It sounds like something I've been forced to say. Mark hasn't told me to say that, but I enjoy working. I enjoy getting something done. So when it comes to like the development side, I like having something to do. I like having get stuff built. I think the biggest problem, the biggest challenge is not enough hours in the day. When you're working so fast paced like Rebel Based Media does, and you've just got so many plates that you've got to juggle. Time is always one of those. I think it's probably the biggest challenge. Me and Mark, we work very long hours, and so does the team, obviously. But me and Mark run the place, so we're expected to work longer and do the extra hours and put the extra shifts in, which I'm completely happy with, and so is Mark. So I think time and just getting kind of like priority of what to get done in that time period as well. We're good at that, but I think you could always improve on that.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you how you keep yourself focused on the things that are really important, so that you're making best use of your time.
Yeah, I mean that's always an issue in any business, isn't it? That even if you've got something to focus on, usually something will come and jump in, in the middle of it. Like I could be building something really good. I mean, the thing with development as well is, whatever developer you speak to, 9 out of 10 times they'll tell you how good it is just to stay on something. So if I'm building something, I need complete focus for 8 hours. I need to shut off from the world. I have my noise cancelling headphones on and off, and I just work and just get what I need to get done. So when someone like a developer like me has to break off of that usually just knocks my entire flow. But that's something that we had an issue with a while ago, and it's something that I've actually massively improved on now, which is good. But it is a challenge in businesses. It's sometimes prioritizing and making sure that those little bits don't crop up, or if they do, make sure that you can get them done at a different time.
Yeah. All right, this is fascinating. I'd love to explore some of this some more, but obviously we have to hold our horses a little bit on Captivate FM and on productivity. But we'll have links to the pre-registration pages for the audience that they can sign up if they're interested, particularly for all of you doing podcasts or thinking about starting a podcast. But I'd like to move on to the Buzz, which is our innovation round, and it's designed to help our audience, and they're primarily innovators and leaders in their field, with some tips from your experience. So I've got a series of 5 questions, and hopefully we'll get some answers that are going to inspire people to go and do something awesome today. So what's the number one thing you think anyone needs to do to be more innovative?
I think it's a pretty simple one. I think that's just think outside the box. Sometimes kind of think how everyone else wouldn't think, whilst taking into consideration what people want and people need. Stuff like the iPhone, that came about not because people needed it, but because it was something that would work well. And Steve Jobs thought outside of the box and thought, I'll do this. You think outside the box sometimes. Like, no one would have expected podcast websites to have come about as such. You can do it DIY. Everyone can do it DIY, but a made-for service, no one expected that, which is why it works so well. It's a premium product, but it just, it handles everything. So it's sometimes just thinking outside the box, I think.
Yeah. And what exactly do you mean by thinking outside the box? Because it's kind of a term that's thrown around quite a lot.
It is, yeah. I was trying to rephrase that how I can. Don't always kind of like see black and white. If you can see a problem, delve a bit more into the problem. As opposed, don't just if I've cut my finger, and I've put a plaster on it, that's not solved the problem. Why have I cut my finger? What have I sliced it on? Am I using a sharp knife? Am I using a blunt knife? Sometimes you kind of just think about why it's broken or why it needs to be changed. That probably doesn't help, but it's a bit more
I think
ambiguous.
I think it does. I mean, there's a couple of things there. The thing that comes to mind with what you've just said is why. I like asking why a lot, to dig deeper on the problem. As you said, is it the cut on the finger, or is it what you've done to cause the cut? And digging into that. But also, you mentioned that podcast websites wasn't necessarily an obvious service, because people can build their own websites. They can set up a podcast recording stuff themselves, but there's a lot of podcasts around that are pretty ordinary, and you can tell that they're set up by somebody that kind of did it themselves and didn't really know what they were doing and wasn't ideal. So, and also I know that there's a lot of people that would love to get into podcasting. They probably love to talk into a microphone or do, video recordings, but they don't want to know how to do all the technical stuff. They're not really interested in doing the technical stuff, and that becomes a hurdle. So it's really a service that is needed out there. And whilst, you might say, well, that's something most people should be able to do themselves, it's probably not well done by those that do, and a lot of people don't want to do it themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. So, going on to that, the support was actually one of the biggest things that we actually developed on when we started podcast websites, because it is 24/7 and it's instant. So you've basically got a dashboard where your website's situated, and inside that is your support. So, you haven't even got to leave your website to get that support. We just want to help people. We've got people on this on the platform that it's like 78-year-old. Like, can you imagine your nan or your grandma or your granddad trying to make a podcast and try to do a podcast?
Yeah. This
is why we do it. We want to make it easy and accessible for people. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, that's great. So that I think innovation and keeping in mind what people want and need is really important. All right. So what's the best thing you've done to develop new ideas or new products?
I think that's get products wrong. I think that's get the ideas wrong. If you've got, so I mean, when we come to ideas, me and Mike literally, we sit down, we put our heads down together. We probably argue with each other about what's right and what's wrong, and that's good. When you've got a second partner in something like this, I think it always helps. Because he might say something to me and I go, that doesn't really work. Or I say something to him and usually 9 out of 10 times he'll say, nope, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like get a list of ideas, break them down. Again, going back to the thing with the finger and you cut your finger. Why is this a problem? Get a list of the ideas that you've got or the products and look at the market. Is there anything there at the minute? No. Is this a problem, or is this something we're just thinking is a problem when it isn't? Is there something else we can do that might be a bit more MVP? I think that's the kind of thing to do. Look to see what the issue is as opposed to just coming up with ideas. Because I could come up with 10 ideas for different products right now, but they might not be any good, and 9 might be good, 9 might be bad, 1 might be good.
Yeah.
It's just working out what the actual problem is. Don't just see the problem, get in the problem. If you know there's an issue with podcasting, become a podcaster. Find out what the issue is. Like, I've cut my finger, so I need to find out, is it my knife or is it my scissors?
Yeah.
So I need to check them. Do more research into stuff. Find out what the real issue is, not just what you can see has been an issue. Get into the issue really deep.
Yeah, great advice there, and I like that. You talked about getting it wrong, and a lot of that is getting feedback in one way or another, and whether that's bouncing ideas off your business partner or whether it's testing it out in the marketplace. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Nothing's, as much as I say a bad idea, nothing's a bad idea. That's probably not the right way to term it. Everything's an idea. It's just deciding which is going to be the most, either the most beneficial idea to your people that you're trying to fix a solution for, or cost-wise, is it going to be more beneficial for you as a person, this idea? Are you going to make money from it? Or is it going to help you in any way?
Yeah.
There's nothing that's bad. You can try 10 things, and if 9 things don't work, but 1 does, then I don't see a problem with that. I think that's fine. You don't waste time. You've got time. If you've got the knowledge to do it, then just do it.
Yeah. All right. So you may have already answered this, but what's one of the resources you use the most often?
It's got to be Slack. Like I said, when you work with any remote workers, Slack is by far the best thing we use. And I first came about it 3 or 4 years ago, and like I said, I built our support system, and I made it so it just pipes in the support, like I mentioned. But we've got other bits in there, so you can link it to stuff like Trello. You can link it to stuff like Asana. So when we're doing our product development, we've got Asana hooked up. It'll open up a channel, or it'll message them in the channel saying that they've got a new item to do in their Asana list. So it's just an all-round good piece of technology. If that came out of the business, I think we'd struggle to find something just as good to fit in that place.
Yeah. All right. We'll post links to Slack on that. I do talk about it from time to time. It's always running on my computer with my team, and yeah, we've got it hooked up to all kinds of different things. So what's the best way to keep a project or a client on track?
I think that's an easy one. I think you've just got to set deliverables at a specific date. It's very easy. I always fall into this trap. It's easy to do it, and it's easy to say I'm building a feature on podcast websites, and then I think, well, actually, while I'm doing this, I could make this other feature that's quite linked, and it'll only take me another hour. But what you don't realize is that hour knocks onto everything else in the future.
Yeah, impacts everything.
So
else.
It's just setting deliverables and setting deadlines for stuff. That's probably one of the most important things you can do. And if it's a client, you're trying to set a client, you're making sure a client's set on track. Always set out what the scope is going to be. Don't leave it open. This is what's going to be done by this date, and this is when it'll be delivered by. This is when I want you to get any feedback, and this is when you're going to get any response to that feedback. Set your deadlines and your deliverables as soon as you start something, because you can quite easily it's a slippery slope, and you can quite easily just become a week behind from just doing odd bits and bobs that you think is needed. Get the MVP out first, get the minimum viable product out first, and then work on what you need to do.
Yeah. Really good advice. And someone, I can't remember who it was now, but said to me a little while ago that if a customer is complaining that you haven't delivered something and you think it's scope creep or it's gone outside of scope, then it's not the customer's fault, it's your fault, because you haven't done what you've just outlined there for us. Completely.
And communication is always key.
Yeah.
One of our biggest things here is that no email in any of any of the team's inboxes should ever be left more than 18 to 24 hours. No email, barring obviously weekends where some of them don't work. No email should ever be left that long. Communication is massively a key with anyone. Anyone you're speaking to, communication is, the key. Because that's when people, get on your back. You told me I was going to have it for Wednesday, and you delivered it on Thursday, but you didn't tell me that. If you'd just told me it were going to be delivered on Thursday, I'd have been happier. It's usually yourself at fault on stuff like that. Scope creep's a weird one. You've just got to set the defined parameters at the start. And I'm probably talking a bit more analytical because I'm a developer and I work with data all the time. But if you've got to set those variables at the start of anything you're doing.
Yeah.
You've got to cover yourself. Like, imagine you quote 10 hours for a job, but it takes you 20 hours.
Yeah, that's right.
Who's at fault there? It's not the client. The client's done nothing wrong. It's you because you've not done it to the amount of time that you said you were going to do it for.
That's right. You've either underestimated what was required, or you've done that extra bit that while I'm doing this, I might as well do that.
Yeah, so exactly.
Kind of let the scope creep come in because you've got distracted. All right.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, the fifth one is, what's the number one thing anyone can do to differentiate themselves?
Oh, that's an hard one. Your last one's always a hard one. I was trying to think. Obviously, there's be yourself and whatnot, but I think it goes back to where I was saying earlier that don't just look at an issue because it's an issue. Kind of look really deep into what the issue is and what it's caused by. Find something that no one else can see. If you can see that something's broken, then probably someone else can. You've got to be different by looking into it deeply enough to find out what the true cause of the issue is and how you can help it.
That's good. I like that. Find things that other people don't see.
Like, if your car's broken, everyone can see that your car's broken, but only a mechanic's going to go and fix it because they know what they're doing. They know deeply, what's wrong with this car. You're your own person. You've got your own skills. You know what you're good at. So use that to your advantage to find something that no one else can find.
Great advice. Well, thanks, Kieran. This has been really great. Where can people reach out and say thank you? And, we'll put links to the various pre-register interest pages as well.
Sure, yeah. You can email me at any time at kieran@rebelbasemedia.co.uk.
Yeah, all right. And we'll have that.
Not .co.uk, sorry. That's completely wrong. rebelbasemedia.io. I had a complete...
Okay, all right. rebelbasemedia.io, and it's Kieran with an A, right? K-I... Yeah,
Kieran.
All right. But
which is actually, interesting fact, which is actually Gaelic for dark little one.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Is there a hidden meaning behind that?
I hope not.
Okay. All right. So finally, what's the number one piece of advice you'd give to any business owner who wants to be a leader in their field and in innovation?
Just sit down, work out where you want to be. If you've already got the idea, great. Set yourself some targets, set yourself some deliverables. When can you get the MVP out for? And when can you build on that? And actually have a real good think to yourself, is it worth doing? Is it something that's been solved already? Or is there another way that you can solve it? Or is it more underlying issues that you can look at?
Yeah, I like is it worth doing? I guess that's the question that perhaps people avoid sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, like we've just been on about Slack. I could build a Slack replacement, but why would I?
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Yes, there's probably competitors out there, and the competition is always healthy, completely healthy. But if they've already got ahead of you, they're already at the start. They've been there for 2 years, 3 years, and they've done it, and it's not working. Then they've probably not fixed the issue. So there may be a different issue that you can help with instead.
Yeah, where are the gaps? So it comes back to the differentiation, doesn't it?
It does.
All right. Finally, then, Kieran, who would you like me to interview on a future InnovaBuzz podcast, and why?
So I've got a good friend, one of myself and Mark's friends, actually, a guy called Wayne Smallman. at Octane Interactive. And he's created a lovely tool called the Undercloud. And I'll let him give you a bit more information about it, but he's a really interesting guy. He's probably one of the brightest guys I've ever met. And he's a developer like me, and he's just, taking this product, this idea for something, and started to build it. And I think it's currently in beta as well. So yeah, definitely get in touch with that guy.
Okay, sounds fascinating. So Wayne, look out for an invitation from us to the InnovaBuzz podcast, courtesy of Kieran McKeefery. So thanks so much for sharing your time and your insights with us today so generously, Kieran. I've really enjoyed this. I've learned a lot more. You've built the fascination and the anticipation with Captivate FM and with productivity some more. And so I look forward to seeing how they launch, how the launch goes, and hopefully get a chance to actually test them out myself. I wish you all the best for the future, and let's keep in touch.
Thank you very much. I hope you have a lovely day.
Thanks, Kieran. I hope you enjoyed that insightful and thoroughly captivating conversation with Kieran, and like me, found a lot of value in the information he shared. Kieran is clearly committed to helping his clients, who are podcasters, become better and to making their life and their podcasting easier. I'd love to know what you took away from Kieran's episode today. Leave a comment below the blog post, which can be found at innovabiz.co/Kieran M. That is KIRANM. All lowercase, all one word, innovabiz.co/Kieran M. You'll also find contact information for getting in touch with Kieran there, as well as links to the Rebel Base Media website, the Podcast Success Academy, and the other resources mentioned during the interview. Kieran suggested I interview Wayne Smallman of Octane Interactive on a future InnovaBuzz podcast. So Wayne, keep an eye on your inbox for an invitation from us to the InnovaBuzz podcast, courtesy of Kieran McKeefery. Remember to visit innovabiz.co/VIP to access the Transformational Marketing Hub and all its free and exceptionally useful information to help you transform your marketing. Stay connected. Head on over to iTunes or Stitcher or Pocket Casts and subscribe to the InnovaBuzz podcast so you make sure you'll never miss another episode. We'd also love you to leave us a review because what you think matters. Take some of the ideas you've heard today and apply them in your business. Any thoughts, ideas, suggestions or questions, share them in the comments below the blog post. And remember, if you want to get better marketing results than you ever have, join our fantastic LinkedIn community at the Transformational Marketing Academy. All you have to do is go to innovabiz.co/TMAC. It's free to join. Hope to see you there soon. Until next time, I'm Jürgen Strauss from InnovaBiz. Remember to be awesome and keep innovating.